Hi, my name is Gloria Robert. Today we are discussing the topic drugs. Objectives of lesson. As the lesson progresses, the learner should be able to 1. Define drugs. 2. Mention the medical purpose for drug use and their examples. 3. Define drug abuse and drug addiction. 4. Mention common types of drugs. 5. State the effect of misusing drugs. And 6. Mention ways to curb drug misuse. What is drug? Drugs are externally administered chemical substances that can change or affect the chemical reactions in the body. The chemicals used for making drugs are either derived from plants or from animals. Drugs are commonly known as medicines and they can be used for medicinal purpose. Medicinal drugs are those legal drugs which are prescribed by medical practitioners or doctors to their patients in order to help heal their wounds, cure diseases, correct nutrient defects, relieve pain, prevent illness, and save lives. Examples of medicinal drugs include antibiotics, analgesics, steroids, food supplement drugs, and so on. However, some of these drugs are considered as hard drugs, they are illicit or illegal drugs, and they are used for non-medical reasons, either to induce hallucination, feeling of excitement, feeling of contentment, or a high feel, and so on. How are drugs administered? Drugs are administered externally by injections, orally through the mouth, through the skin either as ointment or cream, inhaling, and by dropping. So you can hear of eye drops, ear drops, or even nose drops. Let us discuss the classes of drugs. So we have different categories of drugs. So we are going to be discussing some, and the first we are looking at is antibiotics. These are drugs that are used to control or fight bacterial infections, and they are mostly derived from fungi. Antibiotics kill bacteria by destroying their cell walls, their cytoplasm, inhibit their protein synthesis and multiplication process, but they do not affect other living cells in the body. What do we mean by this? They kill any bacteria in the body that they are meant for, but they can't harm the cells such as the red blood cells in the body of the organism, the nerve cells, the bone cells, the white blood cells, and any other cells. Antibiotics are therefore not effective also in treating viral infections which are caused by viruses. So any infection as a result of viruses cannot be treated using antibiotics. This is because viruses lack cell wall and other cell components or organelle, so they are not harmed by these antibiotics because there is nothing for them to destroy. Excess use of antibiotics, however, make bacteria evolve, meaning they can change their shape, their structure over time and develop a resistance to them, thus making the drugs ineffective for treating them. The second we want to discuss now is analgesics. They are commonly known as painkillers. These drug substances are used to relieve pains. They are also used during surgery to numb sites and help the patient to cope better by preventing pains. Examples of painkiller drugs include ibuprofen, aspirin, diclofenac, and so on. Some of these drugs are derivatives of opium, and then when constantly used, they are very addictive, causing serious deterioration in personalities. We want to talk about hallucinogens. These are drugs that affect the mind by changing the rate and content of thought. It causes hallucination, meaning the person sees and hears strange things, things that are not true, things that are not real. Others around them will not see them. They are the only one seeing, so they are hallucinating. In high doses, it gives a feeling of boundless energy, which leads to the danger of overeating and collapsing through dehydration. So it causes a high rate of dehydration, and this can lead to deaths over time. Examples of hallucinogen drugs include ecstasy, cannabis sativa, popularly known as marijuana. Number 4, we want to talk about stimulants. Yes, stimulants. These are drugs that make the nervous system generally more alert and awake. They act by generating nerve impulses across the synapses. Examples of mind stimulants include caffeine, found in tea and coffee, tropamine, found in cocoa. Are you scared? Don't be scared. We all take coffee, tea, and cocoa. These are actually mild, but when taken in excess, it can begin to have its effects. Examples of strong stimulants include methadone, cocaine. Methadone is commonly known as meth in the market. Number 5, we have the depressants. Now, depressants are drugs that slow down the nervous system and how it responds to stimulus. It causes slow reactions, poor judgment of speed and distance, impair memory, and affect the motor cortex, which controls movement. Depressants achieve this by blocking the generation of nerve impulses across the synapses. What this is simply saying is that it slows the rate at which someone taking these drugs reacts to situations around them, and this can actually be a matter of life and death. Examples of depressants include alcohol, heroin, morphine, and so on. So the last we are going to talk about is solvents. These are substances found in glue, paints, bulbs, and so on, which are inhaled by users and can be very addictive, causing hallucination. They also have adverse effects on behavior and personality, slowing down bodily functions such as breathing, heartbeat rate, and so on. The long-term effects of using these solvents are liver damage and kidney damage. So let's look at alcohol. You've heard of alcohol, you've seen, even you've taken. It doesn't matter. Let's know more about taking it and the danger of taking them. This is a depressant drug which is quickly absorbed through the wall of the stomach into the blood and carried all over the body, meaning as soon as it's taken, it goes straight to the stomach, and from the stomach it doesn't need any process of digestion. It goes straight to the bloodstream. So it is eventually broken down by the liver, but this takes quite a long time. It takes quite a long time. Why? Because a function needed to be carried out, and that is called detoxification, carried out by the liver. Adverse effects of taking excess alcohol include 1. It can increase aggression in some people. You see people, they get very angry quickly when they are under the influence of alcohol. Number 2 is that alcohol reduces the rate at which people respond to situations around them. Like I said earlier, it can slow down the rate at which they stop their cars or even drive faster when they are hitting people or supposed to, and it even makes drivers not to be conscious when they are driving, and so can lead to accident. And this can mean the difference between life and death, life for the person or life and death for the people around them. Number 3, excessive intake causes a dangerous disease known as alcoholism, which can cause unconsciousness. You see a whole lot of them. They can be unconscious for hours. It leads to gastritis. This is inflammation of the stomach wall. Yes, the stomach becomes very big. Liver cirrhosis and hepatitis resulting from the damage of liver cells can also be effects of taking alcohol in excess. Then the fourth one we are looking at is fetal alcohol syndrome, whereby a woman that is pregnant taking alcohol endangers the life of the unborn child, okay, making the child to be mentally retarded and exhibit behavioral abnormalities. Tobacco. Yes, tobacco is found in cigarettes and in cigars. Smokers are liable to die young. Have you heard that statement before? Let's see why. Tobacco is made of dangerous substances like carbon monoxide, nicotine, tar, and some other chemicals. Adverse effects of using this over a long period of time is, number 1, smokers run the risk of cancer, so they can develop lung cancer, buccal cavity cancer, or even bronchial cancer due to the tar. The tar found in tobacco is very, very dangerous. It is carcinogenic, meaning it can cause cancer. Number 2 is that there is risk of chronic bronchitis due to the paralyzing of the ciliated cells. Ciliated cells are the cells in the trachea or in the respiratory system that help to move mucus which trap pathogens away from the lungs, so preventing infections of the lungs. It can also lead to what we call emphysema, which is the breaking down of the alveoli, so there will be no enough oxygen to go around the body. Carbon monoxide can lead to suffocation if taken in excess and even death. Pregnant smokers, that means women that are pregnant and they smoke, that can endanger the lives of their fetus and babies. They might give birth to premature or underweight babies. Infants death syndrome is another option for them. There are two types of smokers. You've not heard? Well, we have the active one, which are the ones that smoke the cigarette and cigar directly, and we have the passive one, which are the ones that stay around them, right? When you stay around people that smoke, you are also a smoker because you are inhaling all the dangerous gases or content just the same way they are. You are even as twice endangered as the smokers themselves, and that is why you have some places they have selected areas where people need to go to for them to smoke. So you can't smoke around, and even some countries they arrest parents that smoke around their children because they know the parents are endangering the life of their children. But the best thing to do, the wise thing to do, if you have to smoke, move away from people, meaning that you are protecting them and you have them in mind. But the best option is don't smoke. Smokers are liable to die young. It's a slow killer. So I want to look at heroin. Heroin is produced from opium. Heroin changes the mood of the users by causing drowsiness and nausea. It leads to emotional distress, nervous disorder, and mental depression. We also want to look at cocaine. The drug is made from the leaves of coca plants. Cocaine produces a feeling of boundless energy and confidence initially, and then depression if not administered. I mean, the person is not addicted, and if not administered, it can lead to depression and a whole lot of issues. Steroid is another drug we want to look at. Steroids are anabolic drugs that mimic the naturally occurring male sex hormone known as androgens. So a common one here is the testosterone. So examples of steroid are testosterone hormones, which promote the growth of skeletal muscles and the development of male sexual characteristics. Medically, they are used to treat certain cancers or AIDS diseases due to build of lost muscle masses, meaning people suffering from sickness such as AIDS, cancer, they begin to lose weight. So one of the recommendations for them is to give them steroids to help them to gain some of their body mass. However, some athletes, bodybuilders, weightlifters, and so now use steroid for non-medical purpose. What is that? To enhance their physical appearance, to make them look bulky, to make them look very muscular. Okay, probably it will help them better in their business. I don't know. The effects of building this steroid in the body and abusing them is that 1, it leads to blood clots, 2, liver and kidney damage, 3, depressive disorder, 4, sterility in both male and female, masculinization in women. The women begin to look like men. Then last one, it leads to high blood pressure, and the aftermath effects can be heart issues such as heart attack, stroke, and so on. So let's talk about drug abuse. Have you heard of drug abuse before? Drug abuse is the use of drugs without prescription by a medical practitioner, or taking more than the recommended doses of prescribed drugs, probably because it tastes very nice and so you like, let me take this, and no control. When drugs are taken for non-medical reasons, drugs are said to be abused. Simple. Abuse of drugs are what leads to drug addiction. So abuse of drug can lead to drug addiction. Drug addiction, what is it? This is the state of compulsion to use a drug to experience an effect. Is a state of being dependent on drugs to the extent that the person cannot function normally when not using these drugs. So when someone becomes so addicted, the meaning is that the person depends on this drug. When the person uses the drug, it feels normal. When the person does not use it, it feels abnormal, and that itself is abnormal. All right, let's move on. So we have two types of addiction. The first one is called the chemical addiction, which occurs when the body becomes adjusted to the constant presence of the drug in the blood system. So if the drug is withdrawn or not taken, there are various unpleasant physical symptoms such as fever, nausea, kicking of the limbs, seizure, hallucination, and so on that is experienced by the person. So the body is used to it, and if it doesn't take it, there is consequence for it. So the second one is psychological addiction, which occurs when the person feels the need to keep taking the drug even when the person is not sick. You just have this psychological reason that I just have to take this drug, and this could be due to fear or belief of the person, but they are all addiction. So let's look at the effect of abusing some addictive drugs. What are the consequences of using these drugs that are not recommended? Effect of addiction to drugs can be health-wise, psychological, emotional, and social. Number one here is that it also enhances the transmission of diseases such as AIDS. Why? They use needle to inject this drug into their body, and if someone affected by AIDS uses this, he or she does not have needle to sterilize, and somebody else takes it and use, the person gets the disease. So people that abuse drug, they are very vulnerable to having AIDS and all those infectious diseases. Number three is that it causes social irresponsibility, as the person who is addicted is thrown into a desperate struggle to obtain money, especially if they need money to buy these drugs. They may become very aggressive, leading to violence, murder, rape, stealing, prostitution, or evil crime. All are just ways to raise money to buy and continue to buy drugs. They may not be able to hold jobs and can become hopeless and homeless too. Number last three, they tend to be depressed, confused, not coordinated, often, which can lead to insanity and emotional instability over time. Prevention and control of drug abuse or addiction. The best way to prevent drug addiction is not to go there at all. So abstinence is the best way. Avoid peer pressure, avoid situations that would force you to go into drugs. So the best way out is abstinence, because if abstinence is not done, addiction can set in. So the best way then to curb addiction is number one, family care. You need to care for these people. They need love, they need support. Number two is counseling and rehab program. They need to be put on that program where they will be counseled, okay, and get a kind of reorientation. Then self-reliance. They have to believe in themselves. They have to know that they worth something and people care about them. Then the last one is awareness program. People should go out and tell the world about drugs and its adverse effect on usage. Wow, we've come to the end of the class, and this is our student evaluation or activity. We have 10 questions for you on this topic. What you need to do is just sit back and try to see if you can unravel the mystery behind them, meaning solve them. Okay, so in case you are not able to answer any of this question, please don't feel bad. All you need to do is go back to the video, watch it again, and listen to it again. Download it if you have to, so that you can have it at your own beck and call. Now, what is our reason for this? We want you to have 100%. We want you to be very good at solving any question, answering questions on this topic. Okay, now I think you should be through answering the question. So let's go straight to our answers to the evaluation student activity. So 10 questions, 10 answers. So it's time to mark. Pump, 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 tick. 10 over 10. Hey, that is very good. Clapping for you. If it's not 10 over 10, maybe 8, 7, 6, it doesn't matter. Go back to the video. But before I go, I want you to please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Give me a thumbs up. Click my notification button. Drop your comment. I really love to read them. Subscribe and tell a friend about it. Download too is very, very important. Okay, at this point, I want to say thank you so much for joining me in this session. Have a lovely time.